for the Susan Taylor Podcast, where we discuss the yoga of mind, medicine, and healing. Author of Feeling Good Matters, Sexual Radiance, and the Vital Energy Program, Dr. Taylor imparts authentic knowledge and practical tools that inspire, educate, and empower us to be a healing force for positive change. So join us and take your life and our planet to the next level.
Hello and welcome to episode 20, Dodge the Magic Bullet, Establish a Vital Strategy. Time and time again, we're promised the quick and easy approach to diet, aging, rejuvenation, by way of some pill or potion or maybe elixir. Several of you have asked for the formula to help navigate the choppy waters of what diet or supplements work for health and vitality. It's never one thing, I can tell you that. So I'll start with the foundation stones of vitality, which are also applied to how to optimize our digestion, because we do know that digestion is at the root of all our health and vitality. Digestion both physically and mentally, by the way. And we'll discuss one at a time over the next few podcasts. Specifically, in today's podcast, I'll discuss the foundation for building vitality based on three components of proper digestion, and that is timing, quality, and quantity. Our Western culture does not encourage the rejuvenation of our vital energy. In fact, we're moving too fast. We don't have enough hours in the day to get our work done. We don't make the time to nourish our bodies. Instead of supporting our rejuvenation, our world is actually set up for systematic degeneration. Again, not to be negative, but we see it happening right in front of us. The fundamental principles governing human health and well-being are actually breaking down, so we're looking for a magic bullet, the drug or belief system or healing modality or special diet or relationship that's going to miraculously fix all of our physical and mental discomfort. If such a magic bullet had been found, we'd all be free of anxiety and illness, and someone would certainly be very, very rich. The Band-Aid quick fix approach can't sustain long-term deep rejuvenation. Repeatedly falling back on caffeine, pharmaceuticals, and adrenaline rushes, that steadily weakens the body and mind. The fix is imaginary, but yet we keep going on and on. The reason why the fix is imaginary, because the source of energy has to come from being internal. It has to be generated within yourself. The mechanisms that drain it are also within us. Everything is really within us, and that's why we train people, training the mind, because the energy of the mind is the essence of life. No external solution to our inner unease can ever address the source of our energy drain. It can only offer temporary and systematic relief. No matter how many vitamins and supplements we take to feel good, if there's an underlying weakness, the problem will never be cured. And we work with people based on that. What's the real underlying cause? Let's get rid of that and then restore where the damage is. And then your vitamins and supplements can help to rebuild and create a rejuvenated system. We do know that immediate, short-term respite can sometimes be exactly what the situation calls for, as long or as a long-term strategy. However, the quick fix rapidly reaches the point of diminishing returns. Change must come, again, from rooting up the cause and restoring the function. Fortunately, being a privileged society, we have other options. We have choices, which don't necessarily require us to quit our jobs, give up cars, or even leave our families. We can rejuvenate our vital energy or our entire being right in the midst of our fast-paced lifestyles. There's just skills we need to develop for that to happen. All it takes is a clear understanding of the underlying forces that have brought us to where we are. Again, that's remain calm. When I say be consciously aware, living in the moment, awareness will allow us to see this. Just having the awareness, it will all come forward for you. So we need that, but we also need a genuine willingness to venture out on a new path of vibrant health and clarity. That willingness, so we have to kind of get rid of the fear or put it in the back burner and put ourselves out there to venture out on that new path. One of the best places to focus when planning to restore our vitality is working with our diet and nutrition habits. With all that's being broadcasted on media channels, it's sometimes difficult to know what to do and what not to do. I would like to begin with discussing the three components of proper digestion, whether it be physical or mental, it's the same: timing, quality, and quantity. There is little effect when taking rejuvenating diets or supplements, all these fad diets that are out there. There's no one shot that's going to work for everyone. And either way, none of this is going to work if the digestive system is not fully healthy and vital. And without knowing or without having the knowledge of what keeps it healthy, we could never stay healthy. I'll take them one at a time, as I mentioned over the next few podcasts. Today I'll talk about timing. When you eat has a direct impact on how well your food nourishes you. Timing is everything. We've heard it over and over again, and you've heard that. According to the Chinese system of medicine, our energy flows through meridians or energy channels in specific patterns. Those of you that have read some of my work already have seen that in the books and things that I've done, and even in the podcast. These systems of energy flow are very, very profound in their knowledge, and it's not something to just ignore. For example, with the Chinese system of medicine, every 2 hours a different organ dominates. The small intestine, that's where most of our nourish comes from. They denotes from 1 to 3 p.m., for example. So 1 to 3 p.m. is when that's upregulated, so that's why you want to have your main meal midday. Since the organ primarily responsible for digestion and absorption, and 1 to 3 p.m., as I mentioned, is the best time to get the most out of your food. From 5 to 7 a.m., on the other hand, is when the large intestine is supposed to dominate. And here's where our toxic waste is stored, so it makes sense. The morning is the most appropriate time to eliminate. I mean, these are very, very basic things that will actually keep your engine running, as well as transfer to having a very clear and focused mind. Now, in the Ayurvedic system of medicine and science of health and longevity, that's what it's all about, a 24-hour cycle is actually divided into 6 segments, not 12, as we see in the Chinese medicine. But the principle is essentially the same. If we follow the energy patterns during the day with respect to our bodily functions, then the brain will maintain balance and allow energy to flow freely. That is transferred to the mind. Remember, I always say the mind and body are one. You don't have one without the other. People want to talk about mind, but unless you can really create a systematic formula for the body, it's not going to allow the mind to have the same freedom and calmness that's really needed. So let's look at some examples here. In the mornings with Ayurveda between 6 and 10 o'clock, we do feel most energetic or fresh. What we eat during this time should be cleansing and light, so it does not impede our energy. Test yourself, actually. Many people feel that they need food as soon as they get up, but convince yourself to just have a piece of fruit or see how food tastes in the next phase of the cycle. Use your body as a laboratory. You've all heard me say that as a scientist in training. We go into our own lab and we can work with that, and that's our lab is our own body. Then if we move from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., again, the Ayurvedic cycle here, our metabolic energy is at its highest. Again, digestive enzymes are up and they're regulated, activated. Food burns most efficiently. During this time, eat anything you want. Be careful not to eat too much since you don't want to smother the fire of digestion, but anything goes. I always say, if you want your cake and eat it too, this is the time to do it. During the last cycle, from 2 to 6 p.m., we feel active and light, in some cases even lightheaded, right? Here we have a tendency to go for the sugar and other stimulating foods, since it's at the end of the day and we need that boost. Far better to choose foods that are stabilizing and moist, meaning foods that are complex like whole grains that regulate blood sugar levels, and moist referring to those foods that don't need water to wash down. Remember, the essence of life and energy, or even our emotions, comes from water. We want to always be moist. It's better to eat a full plum than a prune. Once we become the prune, then we can't flourish as easily. So the energy cycle repeats itself through the next 12 hours, but instead of repeating the food intake of the day, don't eat anything at all. And I talk about that. I actually spoke about that in the last podcast on the overnight fast. And that's something that's in all my writings. And I'm going to be coming further with that to help people out that really want to start practicing that on a systematic level. But for now, plain water or water with lemon is the exception when I say don't eat anything at all. And you might even want to have a little bit of a tea that doesn't have caffeine. The reason for doing this is that the digestive system needs to rest for at least 12 hours. And that overnight fast that I'm talking about and that I mentioned in the last podcast is a way to make sure that this is accomplished. From a physiological viewpoint, the period from dinner to breakfast is the best time for the body to do its major house cleaning. And believe me, we all need house cleaning now with how polluted the environment is. Again, keep in mind that this is for someone who's very healthy. This is not someone who needs to be on certain medications or anything with blood sugar or diabetes. If you think of intervals between daytime meals as times for dusting and nighttime for sweeping, so you might want to think of the overnight fast and conducting that as that. Again, intervals between daytime meals, that means not snacking all day, and then we do a little bit of, it's the dusting, but at nighttime, we really can do the cleaning out. Not eating before going to sleep allows the metabolic processes to work. That's why timing is so important, and that's what the subject of this podcast is. When do we eat? When do we not eat? And that's the metabolic clock that I just spoke about. If for whatever reason you need to have something before bedtime, as I mentioned, try taking a glass of water or water with lemon and then herbal teas. And lastly, a milk product. Milk products tend to be a little bit heavier on the digestive system. The nighttime fast does enable us to digest excess material left over from the day, restore our cellular function, and repair any damage to the digestive system. Our fat stores begin to break down too, and that's why if you really want to lose weight or you have weight to lose, it's better not to eat. And that's why you would gain more weight by eating at night. So you're better off eating throughout the day. From what I've been talking about, it's easy to see that the best time for our brain to recharge is between meals and especially at night. Our energy and flexibility are highest in the morning and early evening when our stomachs are not overloaded and our vitality is allowed to flow. Remember, we need space for vital energy to flow. And if it's clogged with food continually, literally, I'm talking about, or clogged with, let's say, burdens and stress, clogging our mind, the vital energy doesn't flow. Americans, though, we're a nation of grazers. We pay little attention or no attention at all to our metabolic clock. And since we eat throughout the day, we give little thought to the best time for food or rest. It's quite pitiful, actually, with all our knowledge that we get dragged around by our taste buds. So trying to eat the way I'm recommending, with keeping timing in mind, your brain health will improve. I assure you. You'll have more clarity, focus, you'll have more calmness, and your memory will be improved. Eating at the right time, rest and exercising your body, and you will see your vitality will increase. The next part of this series, I'll look at the quality of food and how it affects our vitality and our consciousness and our overall health. That brings us to the end of this episode. And if you'd like to be notified weekly for new podcasts, please subscribe. And I'm always open to any new comments or feedback. In fact, I'm enjoying the ones that are coming in, and that's what's creating the content for this podcast. I'd like to say thank you for listening. And the podcast does come out every week. And send in your comments, even questions, and something you might want to hear. Until next time, everyone, remain calm.